in 2024, the BAT and PMI, they invested $40 million in sponsoring McLaren and Ferrari teams. Why they are doing this? Because they knew that around 61% of fans being under the age of 35 and 36 below of 25 years old, those people, they were among the fans for following the Ferrari races, and with total of 1.55 billion viewers across different platforms. Now, those reviewers, of course, whenever McLaren and Ferrari teams sponsored by these companies, they were featured in the Netflix series and other trailers. The presence of tobacco branding was hard to miss. So you can see that the advertising during these kind of activities. Not only this, but also in 2018, the Netflix released The Drive to Survive as a documentary series that covered the Ferrari World Championship. So they are targeting all the sport activities and social activities that are followed by a lot of fans, and then they advertise for their products, and this will be a very good marketing to them. And I have to say that to some extent, they were successful so far in this kind of propaganda. Okay. Other things also, that the tobacco companies have long history of exploiting football and World Cup events, which attracts, of course, attention of over 50% of young fans and billions of football enthusiasts worldwide. And they put the advertising, and marketing for their products during these World Cup events. And although, the football sponsorship was prohibited by Viva in late 1988, nevertheless, the British American tobacco found a way to circumvent it by sponsoring a massive media campaign during 2002 FIFA World Cup. And even in 2020, the World Cup in Indonesia, the Super Score marketing agency hosted the Sosarforia event with major cities in Indonesia. And it was a campaign that was announcing the World Cup cigarettes packs to market to young people and advertising for this. In addition to featured posters and commercial on Malaysian TV for the Dunhill cigarettes by the BAT, that is the British American tobacco industries, during 2002 FIFA World Cup. So you see different kind of advertising and manipulation. So let us see what are the kind of products that are, let me say that they are succeeding in so far in advertising, and that we can see later on what is the prevalence of the use and how they are moving on with their way of and manipulation to advertise for their products. So beside the usual cigarettes, we have the e-cigarettes, and that is this kind of products. It's mainly run by the PMI, the Ulteria, the BAT, the Imperial, and the JTI. And we said that these 5 companies, they are, controlling mainly the market of tobacco, marketing in almost all the countries. Also, the heated tobacco products, and their way of manipulating that this kind of tobacco does not need to burn the nicotine, so it is not part of tobacco smoke, because smoking is burning the nicotine, while here they are heating the tobacco product. So, it's all kind of manipulating the facts and making it toward their target of distributing their products. Also, the snus-style nicotine pouches that also they are producing and to some extent succeeding in advertising and distributing. different kind of flavors so that to make it more attractive to the to those who are trying to use the tobacco and encourage them to use it. And of course, their way of bringing the false evidence that about the tobacco and that it has no harm. Recently, they were forced to say that yes, there might be addiction, but the addiction is less 20 folds rather than the normal cigarettes, and that the using the tobacco new products will be a very good step toward quitting tobacco, because they are investing also in the kind of the gaps and the high numbers of tobacco or cigarette smokers worldwide. So investing in the gaps and in the failures of the other side, the side of those who are providing evidence, that is the health authorities, the World Health Organizations, and we will come also to this, shortly. So the particular insidious function of these programs is to help tobacco companies work around regulations that are proven to reduce tobacco. So the tobacco companies also use these programs to boost their public image, as we mentioned, and they form programs as corporate social responsibilities, activities, cleaning. They are helping small businesses. Also, this kind of publicity can foster goodwill toward the tobacco industry among public and policymakers, despite its harmful effect and the as we know, the 8 million people who die annually from using their products. Okay, so now let us move to the second part. Why we are focusing on tobacco and what is the impact on health of the communities, and what is the, the relying on evidence and on the numbers, why tobacco is very harmful. And if you look to this table, you find that, our region globally, we have 6 regions: the Afro, the Amro, the Imro, the Euro, the Sierra, and the Wipro. And our region, the Imro, you can see that in 2010, the prevalence of using tobacco from both sexes, it was about 19.6. In 2014, it was 20.6. And we were expecting by that time that in 2025 it will be 24.5. And if you see, if you compare it with all the regions, you see that the IMRO specifically has the highest number of tobacco use, both on male and female, and even on adolescent, and even using the kind of products of the e-cigarettes. So a lot of focus on our community, and as of course this has a lot of factors, we will just take it during while we are moving now with the presentation. Okay, so let us see what was the other side doing. The health authorities in the countries, the World Health Organization, and other NGOs that are working toward, educating and working toward providing evidence about the harm of tobacco use and the tools how to overcome this, wave of epidemicity regarding using tobacco. So the World Health Organization, the target in 2013, 20, and 2020, there was the prevention, the Global Action Plan for the Prevention and Control of NCDs, the Non-Communicable Disease, that was planned to be from 2013 to 2020. And the target was that to reduce 30% relatively reduction in tobacco use by 2025. And I don't want to spend more time, but just to say that this didn't happen. On the contrary, yes, there are many countries that succeeded and many regions to reduce that, to the best. But in our region and other regions, especially those who are high mid-income countries and mid-low income countries, really the figures are, creating panic because it is on the rise. And in the best situation, they are pending on figures that are related to previous years. Also, this target was adopted, as we mentioned, and this it is aligned with the broader goal of reducing, of course, the premature mortality. So what was this intention? What was these topics that we were focusing on? Let me say that also that by the year 2019, and after, knowing and relying on facts and evidence, and that the numbers of tobacco users is still on the rise, and it was really giving the evidence that in spite of all the work and the activities that were done, but still working toward reducing the tobacco use and trying to reach the sustainable development goals by year 2030 will be a very difficult task to achieve if we continue to move on the same pace of of this increase in tobacco use. So in 2019, they came with the agenda that let us move toward reducing the and accelerating the process to achieve the sustainable development goals, ensuring that reinforcing the achievement of the goals or the implementing the targets, relying on the indicators to make sure that, we speed up the process till 2025 so that then we can move on from 2025 to 2030 with more calm and with more confidence that we are reaching the targets of, having the implementing the global targets, mainly the global target 3, of course, that is related to good health and well-being, and specifically the target 3.4, that by 2030, we reduce by 1/3 the premature mortality from NCDs. And the target 3A, that is strengthening the implementation of the WHO FCTC. Again, a lot of work has been done, a lot of resources has been spent, whether human resources, whether financial resources, a lot of guidelines, a lot of policies, regulations, guidelines were, published and implemented. Nevertheless, we can see now the figures, and we can decide whether we did succeed or, unfortunately, we are not succeeding so far in, reaching our targets in that purpose. Okay, so what was the SDG acceleration plan in 2019? That by this year, 2025, that is, we spent 6 years now, that ending the tobacco use and NCDs through strengthening the WHO Empower policies. And Empower is the monitoring, prevention, offer help, warning, and enhancing the taxes and others. And this is one that the countries that they were requested to implement, that is the Empower strategy. Also, the health system strengthening through expanding the universal health coverage, the UHC. The climate action and the clean energy, that is accelerating the policies on carbon neutrality, and the digital transformation, enhancing data-driven decision making for SDGs monitoring. So the focus during the last 6 years was to reduce and to focus on implementing and at least 30% reducing the tobacco prevalence and the tobacco use among the countries. Some countries in some regions, they, let me say, succeeded to some extent, but for sure, our region and many other regions, especially those who are on mid and low income countries, I have to say that on evidence, they fail. So why we are focusing on tobacco mainly? If you look to this table, we have 4 main chronic diseases, that is non-communicable diseases: heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and the chronic lung disease. You can see that the tobacco use as a risk factor is contributing to all this. So tobacco use is the major risk factor for having all these diseases and affecting the communities, affecting the population of the communities, and bringing this damage to the health and this burden on the morbidity and mortality, in addition to the economic burden on the countries. Otherwise, there are other factors, of course, the unhealthy diet, physical harmful use, but it's not like the tobacco, which is contributing to all these diseases. Okay, so just a snapshot so that, not to take much time, what is the, mechanism of the tobacco in harming the the people who are using the tobacco products? One of them is the oxidative stress inflammation. And the oxidative stress, this is the tobacco smoke that induces the chronic inflammation and oxidative stress, leading to endothelial dysfunction, DNA damage, and impair the immune response. The second kind is the carcinogenesis that is present in the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons and the nitrosamine in tobacco smoke, which causes DNA mutation, leading to uncontrolled cell proliferation and tumor formation, and increasing the risk of the lung, oral, and the bladder cancers. Other way is the insulin resistance and metabolic dysfunction. That is the nicotine, how it disrupts the glucose metabolism and promoting insulin resistance, etc. The cardiovascular damage through the carbon monoxide, that is reducing the oxygen transport, while nicotine increases the heart rate and the blood pressure. So this will accelerate the hypertension, will lead to atherosclerosis, and raising the risk of heart attacks and stroke. The other thing, it's not the final, but the major things that they are, the mechanism is the impaired lung function, and that is through exposure to smoke damage lung, that they will damage the lung tissue, reducing the elasticity and causing the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and emphysema. So you see that all these factors, it should be controlled. It should be fought by tobacco cessation, which is very crucial in reducing the burden of NCDs. Now, this is one of the tables that are written in Arabic, but the figures in English, although these figures originally, historically, it's Arabic. It's from the start, or Indian. Anyway, I just want to mention some few examples of this, what this slide is showing. In Iraq and in the region, because it's almost similar, we have now the prevalence of high blood pressure affecting 5 million people. And 2 million people are affected by diabetes mellitus. So annually, we have around 20,000 new cases for increase in the blood pressure, and 8,000 new cases of diabetes on annual basis. More than 1.5 million, they are subjected to the risk of having cardiovascular disease and stroke. And we have 20,000 cases suffering from premature mortality. And what we mean by premature mortality is those people who are their age from 30 to less than 70. And the cigarette or using tobacco, for the time being, it's more than 20% in the adults, and it's more than 19% in the adolescent, with more than 7.5% using the electronic cigarettes. And these are the notified number, while the estimated numbers, it will be much, much higher than what is written here. And in general, more than 50% of total death in Iraq, it is due to the 4 main diseases, that is the cardiovascular, the cancer, the diabetes, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And all these 4, it is related to mainly one major risk factor. It is the tobacco use. So you can see how much the burden of the disease is affecting our community and communities. The picture is the same, almost the same, in the region. You can see that in the region is even more than that. 57% of the total death is due to NCDs, and the other related to other causes like injuries and communicable disease and maternal child and other things. Okay, and for tobacco use in the region, according to Global Youth Tobacco Survey, you can see in the region, based on the countries, you see that the major, use for this in the adolescent is in the West Bank, that is reaching even to 40%. And then, Jordan, followed by other countries. So, unfortunately, the tobacco use is on rise regarding, in spite of all the efforts that we are doing. Are we doing enough? We are doing very good work. We are doing, good work is not enough. Okay. Other burden that are adding to the complication and to the damage that we have is the secondhand smoke. Now we see that 1 million people die every year from exposure to secondhand smoke. And then if you see that even the serious harms caused to the women's health, that out of the 8 million people die annually, we have 1.5 million women out of total 200 million female smokers around the world. They are also, facing the, unfortunately, they are dying from the secondhand smoke. Okay, we mentioned the NCDs, and we don't want to go to other kind of tobacco impacts, negative impact on the health. But I have to share this one only slide because it was mentioned in the latest International Union on Lung Health and Tobacco. That was, the conference that was, happened in Indonesia, Bali, and it is about the tuberculosis. And why I'm mentioning this, because a lot of impact also of tobacco on the death and on the incidence of tobacco on the tuberculosis. So out of 10.6 million people who are having TB, we have around a little bit than 1 million that tuberculosis was attributable to tobacco smoking. And out of 1.3 million of the death caused by tuberculosis, you can see that 16% of death, it was attributable to tobacco use. So this is really, very, very horrible and very panic numbers that are happening. So what is the NCD trends then? We see that the risk factors are rising. And it's not a matter of subjective, it's a matter of having the evidence. And action is uneven and has major gaps. A lot of work is done. But if you compare what we are doing and the resources that we are using in comparison to the achievement and to the evidence of the numbers, we can see that we are still in the best situation pending, but unfortunately, we are even losing a lot of steps, and that the tobacco industries, they are preceding us with many steps. The magnitude is also progressively increasing. Health systems are already overwhelmed in many countries, and the commitment is not always translated into sustainable and effective action. You cannot blame one part. It's all, the blame can be contributed to all. The country's commitment, the health organizations with the NGOs through their accomplishment and achievement. Without any compliment, so far, we are not winners for this fight. Okay, so I don't want to take all the time, so that to give some time for a question and answer. So just to mention in a glimpse that there are direct and indirect costs for this tobacco use. It will be also affecting the productivity. It has burden on the health system and also on the environmental impact. And those financial, especially, they have through the direct costs, through the healthcare costs, productivity losses, and also the environmental, the taxes, the illicit tobacco trade, and the total economic burden on tobacco. Let me say just this. The IMRO reports tobacco causes 11% of death in IMRO in general. And if you compare it to total death, annual healthcare costs around $2 billion, with disease like COPD and cancer driving expenses. Iran, as an example, they are spending 1.5 billion yearly on tobacco-related healthcare. Productivity losses, also tobacco-related illnesses, that is the DALYs, and this is the disability adjusted life per years, the productivity, how much we are losing from these health-related illnesses. Now, Iraq. Iraq is really, I mean, it's, I mean, interesting figures. We have Iraq, we are spending 3 billion Iraqi dinar daily on tobacco products, according to a study that is done officially in the Ministry of Planning. That is, if I convert it to dollars, it will be $1.2 billion. $1.2 billion annually Iraq is spending on tobacco products. So, what are our future direction and call for action? We have to deal with the challenges in the implementing policies and to deal with the political barriers, because the influence of tobacco industries on political side is high, and they are managing to, I mean, having gaps on and investing in the gaps and influencing the decisions that are supposed to be coming from the countries. And also we have to move toward advocacy, health intervention, and direction. One of the also the tools that we have to move on in a study done, and it was I mean shared during the International Union conference in Bali, that they found that on average, the countries and especially the young age group and the, I mean, young adults, they spend around 7 hours, 38 minutes on the internet. I mean, looking at the social media and all kind of social media. So, I mean, there was and there is a high request that we should invest in the I mean in that time spent by the youth and by the young generation, so that we advertise in a more active way, looking outside the box, looking for more innovative ways, distributing the fact sheets and the evidence on continuous base, so that, I mean, all the people, all the I mean generations, they have all these facts in front of them, and also investing in the conferences, not to meet and not to spend, I mean, money unwisely, but we have to find a balance between what we are spending and what we are achieving for the sake of this target. Okay, finally, I have to say some appreciation for our university. Now we are in collaboration with other universities in the region. We did establish our center for tobacco, that is tobacco office, and we are focusing now on implementing a project that is focusing on the tobacco, combating the tobacco I mean, addressing the tobacco industry tactics in our university and some other Arab college campuses, and with the objective that is to expose the tobacco industry tactics and interference, targeting college students because they are the main targets nowadays in our region, and focusing on the things related to sponsorship, advertisement, and social media promotion, and to do that within the next 6 months. So this objective will be mainly focusing on strategies that to conduct awareness campaign targeting university students. We put all the activities needed, and we put our measurable objectives, that what we want to do in these things, and I can share it with you on personal also for those who want to have more information about it, and also to influence the tobacco policies in our country and in the region, so that toward more alignment with the FCTC, with the national policy priorities, and focusing on the SDG 3, 4, and 11, and connection with institutional and community priorities to respond to global trends. Once again, we need to look outside the box. We need to not to respond on or defend what the take the defense what the or the other industry companies are doing and advertising. We need to make the first move from our side. And of course, rules and responsibilities through partnership and sharing evidence and continuing exposing tobacco industry tactics all will be a part of our campaign to deal with the high rise of tobacco use in our college students. The final tips is also to focus on all the, not to leave anything, the FCTC, the plain packaging, tobacco taxation, smoke-free policies, cessation programs, but we have to look outside the box. We have to find another way, not to stick to the bureaucratic way, not to stick to compliments, and we have to think more objectively how to move on with this thing. Last slide. I have to say that tobacco industry's influence and interference is still identified as single greatest impediment to progress in reducing tobacco use. And thank you very much. And back to you, Ms. Cynthia, for your action. Thank you. Ms. Cynthia.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Thamer, for your insightful and informative presentation on the prevention and control of non-communicable diseases. Your expertise on the topic and passion for reducing the burden of NCDs are truly commendable. We appreciate your emphasis on the importance of addressing tobacco use as a key risk factor for NCDs. Thank you so much, Dr. Thamer. So we will now proceed to our question and a Q&A session. Okay, participants may drop their question in the chat box, or you can directly ask our speaker.
I can see Ahlam bin Break raising her hands.
Okay.
First of all, thank you, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Thamer, for very informative, excellent presentation regarding this tobacco smoking and relation with non-communicable disease, with policy, and with all the points you are mentioning. Here I am looking for from Yemen. In Yemen, we have a double burden of this tobacco smoking because this tobacco smoking is combined also with fat showing. And this is another problem which it is in most of all over Yemen. And also this targeting, this is adolescents and adult. My question that I saw from your data presenting here about tobacco use is 25% in Yemen. I don't know this global survey, the year, but from our, we don't have any data, but from our experience, we found it is increased with this conflict in Yemen about 10 years. We are a conflict. I think this is more increase for this smoking or another non-communicable disease reflected as a result of smoking, but we don't have any evidence regarding that. My question that, what are the policy which can be fit in this conflict zone in our country with very weak health system working in this and or power of the industry is more than awareness of the community to resist to this topic. That's my question, and over to you. I'm very, very thankful for this good presentation. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cynthia, do you want to collect all the questions and then I reply, or do you want me to answer one by one?
First of all, sir, can I request you to please stop sharing your presentation so that we can see you? Yeah, greatly. We can see your face. No, it's better to see your face answering the question. Okay. Maybe it would be best if we can collate all the questions so that you can answer it collectively. We can collect all the questions so that you can answer it in one.
Yeah.
Yes. No better.
Excuse me. This is.
Yes.
This is Dr. Abdul Fattah Al-Timimi.
Yes, go on, doctor.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Thamer. Thank you so much for this nice presentation and very important information about tobacco and its effect on human health and economy as well. I wonder if you can kindly declare the relationship between the smoking cigarettes and human fertility, because the content of cadmium and lead in tobacco is mentioned on many studies, which accumulate in the body and the tissue, and can affect the hormonal level and the body, and accumulate in the tissue, which is especially in the men affect the spermatogenesis. So my question, if you can kindly mention the relationship between the heavy metals, which is actually is available in the tobacco, and its accumulation in the body tissue, which affect the fertility in the human being. And again, thank you so much for your nice presentation and very nice information about tobacco and the effect on economy and health, human being health.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor, for your question. Any other more question? The first one is on, Madam is asking for an initiative on how are they going to, what are they're going to do, no, to lessen the use of tobacco in their country. And the other one is asking the relationship between the fertility and the tobacco, fertility and use of tobacco. Any other more questions so that our speaker will answer it in just one session, one time, no, one time. Any other
Yeah.
question?
Yeah, madam, I have question. This is Rahman
Yes.
from Afghanistan.
Yes, sir.
Actually, it's so interesting topic. Now, like in our country, there is no any specific system. Like the most farmer, they grip the tobacco, and I think the majority people they use tobacco. Based on your perspective, what is the alternative way for this issue? Like it's a big challenge and big problem in our country, in Afghanistan. The using of tobacco, not like on a healthy way. They use like informal way. What should we do? How we can prevent this problem and reduce this problem in our country? Thank you.
Okay, so again, it boils down to an initiative on how to reduce the use of tobacco in their respective countries. Okay, I guess Dr. Tamer can answer all those questions now.
I can, okay, but I can see also Dr. Tagreed. I mean, she's writing on the chat about what are the proper tactics to reduce tobacco. And there is also someone from India, have met young girls who smoke secretly because of restricted society.
Yes.
So how can we help them? Okay, so Miss Cynthia, thank you very much for organizing the and moderating the questions. So for Dr. Ahlam, you are my colleague, and we spent a good time in Yemen, and we were teaching also on the same college, and I know how the situation in Yemen, and I know it's very difficult to deal with this, and I compliment and my hand with your hand that about the efforts that you are spending. In fact, yes, all what you have mentioned is true. It will be very difficult to implement all the strategies and guidelines in a turbulent environment. But at least, let us do what we can do through the first through the providing the evidence to our young generation mainly about the impact of tobacco, about the harmful effects, and trying to also focus on our policymakers, especially the health policymakers, that they should follow these guidelines because let me be frank. We cannot go to the annual conferences and annual meetings run by IMRO and by other factors. We go there, we sign for our commitments as a countries to all the guidelines and policies that were issued, and then we return with nothing. So I think what we can do is to provide evidence and to share this evidence with our community, and at the same time add more pressure on our policymakers to stand in a way that to support the health system functioning. So this is one. For Dr. Fattah, you are the expert, regarding the fertility, and I know that your, doctorate thesis is about this topic. So I will learn from you. You don't expect me to answer you, but I have to say this. I mentioned the way the tobacco smoke, how it affects. So the effect and the carcinogenesis and the kind of creating the cancer and the kind of moving it toward more carcinogenic substances. It's all, factors that are, of course, contributing to the damaging and affecting the fertility. Nevertheless, from my presentation, it's mainly we want to focus on the NCDs. That's why we didn't take much time for this. But I will make sure that to contact you and learn from you more about what are the other mechanisms. For Rahman and maybe for Tawrid. But for Rahman, yes, colleague. What can you do? In situations like this, again, you use your power of knowledge, and from wherever you are working, you have to at least share with others the facts that are related. It's a big burden, and the death is, stalling very high. So we have to do something about it. And from your side, you try to do your best also to communicate with the authorities, with the NGOs and the others, so that you collate with all those people. And of course, there will be many who want to support this campaign of combating the influence of tobacco use and the industry's influence. I have to mention also that the industries, they are influencing in a very bad way. They are sometimes threatening the governments in a way or another, or they are stimulating them by providing money to support some activities. And to a degree that even in Iraq now, and this is my response to Dr. Tagri, we have a legal, there is a law that was supposed to be signed since 3 years now in the Iraqi parliament. Nevertheless, and there are a lot of barriers, a lot of hindering to this signature, because it's a matter of, influence of the tobacco industries on the members, on some of the, trying to invest in the some economical situation that, if we are going to block this factory producing cigarettes, where are the workers are going to work? There will be, what are we going to do? It will affect some part of the community. So we have to always provide ourselves with evidence. We have all the tools, we have the guidelines, we have the goals that we need to reach. All we have to do is to stay steady and mention our facts to those policymakers. So I think I responded to our colleagues, and I give the floors to you, dear Cynthia.
Yes, thank you all for your active participation in the Q&A session. We appreciate the thoughtful questions and insightful discussions. But before we conclude, I would like to request all participants to open their camera for our photo session. Everybody, please. Okay. So can I ask the help of Ma'am Ano Jean to do the photo taking? Please, everyone, open your camera.
One
Everybody.
moment, please. One moment, please. One moment. So sorry for delay.
Are we done taking pictures? Okay, so thank you so much. And now we will move on to the announcement, no? The announcement is that we're going to have an upcoming international conference on applied science, engineering, and management on April 2nd and 3rd, 2025 in Vietnam. The other one is another international conference on sustainable tourism and hospitality management on April 24, 25, 2025 in Bangkok, Thailand. To join the conferences, you can now visit the website shared in the chat box. Okay, so now we're going to end today's session. Thank you all participants and to our speaker, Professor Thamer Al Hilfi, for joining today's webinar. The webinar video will be posted in SET Research YouTube channel. Certificates will be mailed to all registered participants. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank
Thamer.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have
Thank
a
Thank
good
you,
you.
day
madam.
also
Thank
for you. Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Cynthia.